Welcome back to Euro Football Daily, where today we're running through 10 players whose football is suffering under their current manager. Some are in need of a move to boost their confidence, some aren't being used enough by their coach, while others simply don't fit the system in place at their club. 10. Luka Jovic. It came as a bit of a surprise to us when Luka Jovic remained at Real Madrid at the end of the latest transfer window. And according to Borussia Dortmund, who is now on loan at Roma, manager Zinedine Zidane wanted to keep him and not the Serbian striker at the club. And despite a promising start, the former Frankfurt man has played just 19 minutes of La Liga action since the end of September. While his shots have risen to 3.6 per 90, near his Bundesliga level, his lack of killer instinct is there for all to see, with just 17% of his efforts hitting the target, the worst average in the entire Real Madrid squad. Clearly the 22-year-old is lacking in confidence, and while Zidane has insisted he wants Jovic at the club, his continued unwillingness to start him regularly tells us two things. Firstly, that he doesn't have his full trust, and secondly, that even if he did, his preference for a three-man attack and Karim Benzema's importance to that attack means Jovic will continue to miss out. Surely there's only so long that such a talented centre-forward can warm the bench. 9. Federico Bernardeschi. Okay, so Federico Bernardeschi has rarely been an automatic starter since moving to Juventus. But his output for the Bianconeri has gradually decreased season on season, and it doesn't look like he will fare much better under the guidance of Andrea Pirlo as he did with Maurizio Sarri in charge. Last term he didn't register a goal involvement until June, as Sarri switched between playing him in a number 10 role and on the right. Bernardeschi has since spoken about how incompatible the sacked coach and the Juve squad were, and while he is yet to feature prominently under Pirlo, mainly due to injury, has also said that the new manager has faith in him. However, considering the club brought in Kulusevski, Chiesa and Morata ahead of the new campaign, it's difficult to see how Bernardeschi gets regular minutes, especially with all three showing impressive form in the early weeks of the campaign, and with Pirlo still unsure of his best formation. In contrast, the Italian forward is one of Roberto Mancini's key men in the national setup, scoring 3 goals in his last 5 appearances, and has a strong relationship with the Azzurri boss. A potential move to Napoli is currently being mooted in the papers, and Gennaro Gattuso's 4-2-3-1 would certainly suit Bernardeschi. Furthermore, his strong work ethic would no doubt go down well with the former Milan destroyer. 8. Julian Brandt. Unlike Jovic and Bernardeschi, Julian Brandt has looked very impressive at points under his current manager, and his €25 million move from Leverkusen in 2019 remains a steal. However, as long as he's not a regular starter at Borussia Dortmund, it will always feel like his talents are being wasted. Snubbed for 17-year-old Jude Bellingham in the opening weeks of the 2021 campaign, it looked as if coach Lucien Favre had condemned Brandt to the bench long term. He has since returned to the fray and has also talked about the freedom Favre grants him when he's on the pitch. But given his immense technical ability and attacking intelligence, Brandt is the kind of player a team should be built around, rather than a useful rotation option. And while he is an example of just how deep the BVB midfield and attack is, we're itching to see him produce like he did in his final season at Leverkusen, when he fired 7 goals and 11 assists, at a rate of 1 every 148 minutes. This season, Rafael Guerreiro is beating his 3.4 key passes per 90. If Favre wants to build a sustained title challenge, he needs to start Brandt more. Otherwise, there will be plenty of top European coaches who will take him. 7. Isco. The second Real Madrid player on our list, Isco has had an up and down career at the Bernabeu, and while the return of Zinedine Zidane as manager in 2019 initially promised a revival for the Spaniard, he has become an increasingly sidelined figure over the past 12 months. The emergence of Valverde and Zinedine Zidane's preference for playing Kroos or Modric alongside him means there is also no opportunity for him to slot into midfield, while Martin Odegaard's return means that even when a more classic playmaker is needed, it is the Norwegian who has been the first choice. An increasingly frustrated figure in the Spanish capital, Isco is yet to play a minute of Champions League football at the time of writing, and has made just 3 starts in La Liga, while his numbers have dropped across the board. He's currently averaging just 0.6 key passes per 90, by far the worst showing of his career. Meanwhile, footage captured during Real's 3-1 win in El Clasico appeared to show the former Malaga man moaning about his lack of minutes to teammates, criticising his manager in doing so. Zidane has even given some blame to himself for Isco's difficulties, but with his contract up in 2022 and the prospect of a reunion with Carlo Ancelotti at Everton, he may struggle to keep hold of his man. 6. Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba's Man United career has had more downs than ups, and his inconsistent form can't be attributed to any one manager. He was largely excellent in his first 18 months under Jose Mourinho, only really dropping off for the final 6, and was also a key figure in the early months of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure. However, his at times baffling displays in the early weeks of the 2020-21 campaign suggest that Pogba, the world's most coveted young midfielder when he joined United in 2016, may never reach the heights once projected for him at Old Trafford. And it may just be that. After 4 years, the Frenchman and the club are simply a bad fit, as evidenced by Solskjaer's decision to take him out of the starting lineup. Pogba has always been most effective when paired with a world-class defensive midfielder like Andrea Pirlo or N'Golo Kante, and United have failed to invest in one since his arrival. With an ageing and inconsistent Nemanja Matic, the closest imitation he's had to work with. With Bruno Fernandes now the side's chief creator, and Solskjaer opting to play 2 defence-minded players behind him, Pogba's place in his system looks increasingly redundant. 5. Nicolas Pepe. Signed for a club record £72 million in 2019, in the hope he'd bring a new edge to the Arsenal attack, it's fair to say Nicolas Pepe has so far fallen well short of his price tag. However, while he showed a lot of promise in his first season at the Emirates, things have gotten progressively worse for the Frenchman since Mikel Arteta was appointed manager. Appearing in all but 4 of the games for which he was available under the Spanish coach last term, it looked like Pepe was making progress. But come the 2020-21 campaign, he has been benched in favour of the more experienced Willian, who is keeping him out of the team despite offering minimal attacking output. And when he was given his chance against Leeds, he blew it, getting himself sent off for a headbutt on Alioski after just 51 minutes on just his second start of the campaign. Arteta publicly condemned the player after the game, saying he let the team down, and was also reported to have given him a dressing down in front of his teammates. And if the example of Matteo Guendouzi is anything to go by, Pepe's Arsenal future looks somewhat uncertain. If he wants to win back his manager's trust, the former Lille star will now have to work even harder to grasp his methods. 4. Antoine Griezmann. Antoine Griezmann has never looked particularly at home since his move to Barcelona from Atletico Madrid in 2019. But despite Ernesto Valverde's unpopularity among the Blaugrana fan base, out of the 3 managers who have coached the Frenchman at the Camp Nou, he did the best job. In 19 league appearances under the former Bilbao boss, Griezmann registered 11 goal involvements despite being positioned on the left. In the 17 games that followed under Setien, he mustered just 2, and by the beginning of October, it was clear Ronald Koeman wasn't getting a good response from him either, with both Griezmann and France manager Didier Deschamps criticising the Dutchman's preference for playing him out on the right. Koeman has seemingly taken heed and got excellent results from playing him in a front 2 in Barca's 5-2 win over Real Betis. Griezmann got a goal and an assist, took 5 shots and created 4 chances. Whether he'll persist with this system is another matter though, especially with the assumption that Lionel Messi, who tends to occupy the same spaces as Griezmann, starts every game. As long as the Argentinian magician is around, it's difficult to see the little prince thriving in Catalonia. 3. Christian Eriksen. It's telling that at the time of writing, Christian Eriksen has played more minutes for his country than for Inter Milan this season. The Dane has never looked a natural fit since signing for the Nerazzurri from Spurs, with Antonio Conte's preference for a 3-5-2 dominated by flying wingbacks and battling central midfielders, rarely leaving room for him to be deployed in his preferred number 10 role. And even when the Italian coach has opted to play a central attacking midfielder, he has generally chosen Nicolo Barella, whose defensive work rate is markedly higher than Eriksen's. And given Inter have been less watertight at the back than last season, the manager clearly feels the need to keep the centre of the park filled with players who like to press, like Barella and Vidal, rather than someone like Eriksen, whose prime aim is to create. In each of the side's 4 biggest fixtures so far this season, against Milan, Lazio, Atalanta in the league and against Real Madrid in the Champions League, Eriksen has started on the bench and only featured at all in one of them. It's no wonder that he continues to be linked with a move away from Serie A, less than a year after he first set foot in the San Siro. 2. Joelinton. One of the most puzzling moments in Mike Ashley's 13 years of ownership at Newcastle was his decision to splash £40 million on Joelinton in the summer of 2019, and in the 18 months since, the fears that he would be totally unsuited to Steve Bruce's system are yet to be dispelled. The Brazilian forward was often left isolated as a lone striker in his first campaign at St James's, stifled by Steve Bruce's deep block tactics, in stark contrast to the more free role in which he thrived alongside Kramaric and Belfodil under the attack-minded Julian Nagelsmann at Hoffenheim. So it came as little surprise that despite appearing in all of the Magpies' Premier League fixtures, he contributed to just 4 goals, the same amount as centre-back Federico Fernandez. And following the arrival of Callum Wilson, Joelinton has become a more sidelined figure, making just 5 starts at the time of writing and seeing his shots drop to less than 1 per 90. It's fair to say that the 24-year-old isn't enjoying his time in the northeast of England. 1. Tamar Lemar. We've labelled him a flop a number of times on this channel, but there's only so long you can lay all the blame at the door of Tamar Lemar for his poor output. After transferring to Atletico Madrid from Monaco in 2018, the Frenchman went from being one of Europe's most exciting young attacking midfielders to a very average contributor in Spain, and struggled to adapt to Diego Simeone's defence-first system. Despite working hard in his first campaign, attempting more pressures per 90 than anyone else in the Atleti squad, Lemar was also painfully inefficient at winning back possession, recording a worse pressure regain percentage than any of his teammates. And with just 5 goal involvements in nearly 2,000 minutes, it was clear the Frenchman was finding life in La Liga tough. It's only gotten worse since then, with Lemar failing to register a goal or an assist in the league since April 2019, and making just 12 starts since the beginning of the 19-20 campaign. While a move away from Madrid looked on the cards in the summer of 2020, the Atleti board's determination to recoup their €72 million fee, plus Simeone's belief that he will one day turn his form around, meant the 24-year-old stayed put. But in reality, a transfer is exactly what he needs. After 2.5 years, it's clear that he and Simeone are simply a bad fit. So those are our 10 players who hate playing under their manager, but have we missed anyone out, or do you think we're being a little bit too harsh? Please let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more, then click on screen right now for another Euro Football Daily video. And as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.